Welcome, everyone, to Monday Afternoon Roundtable, episode 26, Jason, Tim.
Yep, we're getting there.
We're moving along. We got two good producers in the background back there.
That's right.
Tasha, Mark, appreciate it. Got an extra guest with us, Jason, so we'll talk to him a little bit later at the last call. But anyhow, we're going to talk today about the life of a private investigator, or the day of a private investigator, our usual day that we experience when we're working. And I think the listeners will enjoy that because it's different than going to an 8-to-5 job in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of preconceived ideals about the industry of private investigator and what we do and how we do it. So and we've been doing it a while from our law enforcement background until now. But I thought to kind of give a feel of what we do during the day or what our average day was like. And everything good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we take on, we're pretty much, anything comes through the door right now, we're pretty much taking it because we want to build that rapport with the law firms, with the businesses around town and in the community and things of that nature. But, you know, there's a lot of work involved in a private investigation case. From when the case comes through the door, we don't automatically accept it, but if we do, then we have to, of course, do our due diligence and interviews and all the stuff that goes with it. But some days are better than others, for damn sure. You know, Tim's had a pretty rough week, and all of us, you know, stuff going on, trying to get here and there. Again, we still have 3 separate companies, but we're all working together under one umbrella, and I think that's working out fairly well.
Yeah.
It's a little unusual. Most private investigative firms don't do that, but we're testing it right now to see, and I think we're doing okay with it. You know, right now we're doing we have domestic cases. I wouldn't say we have a lot, but we have family law cases with our family attorneys, meaning divorce, child custody, infidelity type cases. And those are the ones people kind of, when they think about a private investigator, that's what they think of. You know, what we're following a spouse around to see what's going on after hours. And we do that. I don't like those sort of cases. I don't know about you two. What do you think about them?
They're long drawn out, and you could spend many hours and not get any results.
Right.
That's what I don't like.
And the client expects results. Of course they do. When they pay you the money, they say, okay. But I always, in my contract, tell the individual, you know, we may or may not be able to find the goods. You know, so we're certainly not going to catch them inside a hotel room. We may see them go in a hotel room, but there's a few things that we have to prove if they do, you know, that they show affection and they have opportunity to do something. And sometimes we can catch them, sometimes we can't. And a lot of times it's just based on the investigator and what the other individual knows or what they do.
Yeah, and it's like any other case. The more homework you do, the better you can maximize your time. So you try to get as much information from the client
On the front end.
Yeah, so you can trigger or pinpoint, you know, when to do the surveillance.
Right.
and
Where?
Yeah. And that's the key. You know, the surveillance is hard. People don't realize how difficult it is unless you tried to follow a car for a long distance. And I've followed them all the way from North Carolina to South Georgia, North Carolina to New England, and it's hard. And it's better if you have at least 2 vehicles, and it's even better if you have a GPS device attached. There's a lot of argument about tracking devices, placing them on cars, especially in the private sector with the investigative industry. But you know, we have that equipment at our disposal, but surveillance is tough. You know, and then if you get caught, if the target sees you or makes eye contact with you, then you got to change your identity a little bit or change vehicles. What the good thing I like to do is use rental cars when we have a big surveillance, and you know, get a rental car with different tag numbers or whatever we may have to do. But if they get on the interstate, it's fairly easy. But in an old country road where there's maybe no other vehicles but you and the target, it's tough.
What I do too, as far as changing your appearance, a lot of times y'all mostly see me with a scraggly looking beard like I am today. And the reason being I keep it like that is when I do surveillance and I got a surveillance assignment tomorrow, I'll go tomorrow with the beard, and then the next day of it, which will be Sunday, I'll shave my head, and then I always have a ball cap or multiple ball caps and different T-shirts available in my car. Nothing with any print on it, just color, you know, solid color. different colors. That way I can change appearance if I have to get out of the car, different times during the.
Right.
And
Do you still have that blonde wig?
No, I don't have that. But yeah, no, I don't wear wigs or anything. But
There's nothing wrong with it. If
No.
you change your identity, you got to do what you got to do.
no, I don't mind. I don't do that though, and I feel more comfortable doing on foot surveillance, getting closer than I do driving. Because driving, I've been burned more driving than I have following a person
It's
on
easy.
foot. Yeah,
It's easy to get burned. Especially if you see them and they bust a hot yellow light, and you're going to have to run the light. But it's hard sometimes. But I think the key to a good surveillance is experience. Being able to call somebody if you need to and say, "Hey, I need some help. Can you come up here?" and you can leapfrog the individual and put another car on them for a little while. But it's tough all the way around.
A daylight surveillance, if you only have one car, you're not going to make it.
No, it's tough, especially in a city or a highly congested area. The other thing, dealing with the tracking devices, that's kind of a legal issue. Law enforcement, before they can place a tracking device on a car, they have to have a search warrant, and rightfully so. In North Carolina, a private investigator can use a GPS, but it has to be marital property. And a lot of the people in the industry, they may or may not go by that rule. And I'm a firm believer, if you're going to put a tracking device on a car, it needs to be part of the marital property. And that's where I stand.
or if it's a non marriage case, if it's a person who owns the property,
Correct.
They can
Right.
have it.
And how many have we seen that had high-end business owners have the car listed through the company and not through the marital?
Now that's been
That's an issue.
It is, and that's a good point, and so that changes things a little bit. I think, like Jason said, is getting as much information on the front end, where the target likes to go, whether it's the husband or the wife, what restaurants they like to. Are they alcohol? Do they drink alcohol? Do they do recreational drugs? Any kind of medications they may be on? Their banking account, where do they bank? Where do they get fuel from? Do they have a fuel card with an Exxon or Shell? Because those things will, especially if it's long distance surveillance, okay, they're going to have to get gas pretty soon, so they're going to go to if you lose them. If you lose them and they're not going out of town, but they like to eat at Applebee's. And you just track back and kind of look at these places, the known places they like to frequent to kind of help you.
Their hobbies.
Yeah.
Their everyday movement.
and that's helped before. I know it's helped with you guys. It's helped me before, where you have lost somebody, but your homework has allowed you to refine them because hey, they like to do this or that. Let's check that first, and sure and behold, they're there. It could be luck, but I'm a firm believer you make your own luck through hard work, and
On your domestic type cases, do you do background searches and database searches on the target to make sure? And that gives you a lot of information as well.
And I do social media searches
Right.
too, because you can learn more and get pictures and what they like to do and
who their friends are, and if there's a connection, any kind of connection, it really helps me as well. Let's talk just a minute about the murder and criminal defense cases that we work. I think we do quite a bit of that, and where we work for the defendant through the attorney. In North Carolina, if it's an indigent case, then the individual is provided an attorney, and a lot of times if the attorney applies for it, can get an investigator. And we've worked everything. I don't know how many murder cases you have going right now, but it's several, as do I. Tim's going to start taking some on, but it's a lot of work. Those things may last anywhere from 3 months to 2 years. I've got one right now that's over 2 years old, and it's just continuous as far as the case being continued or different motions being brought up that have to be reviewed, and the courts are a little bit slow on it. But I enjoy those cases because they're kind of, I don't know, it's just a different part of the investigative component that I enjoy doing. So you've got some, and we got one, I think right now it's a co-defendant, I guess, case. So, and of course we don't talk about those cases and we don't share information, but yet there's a lot of the similarities in a murder case that, we have to look at all the discovery. We're pretty much the eyes for the defense attorney. Every piece of evidence that's admitted into the court system, or every document that's used, anything used in the by law enforcement, by law, we get a copy of it through the discovery rule. And that's a lot of work. Thousands.
I've
and
always
thousands of pages.
said, the years I was an investigator, if you feel threatened on turning your discovery over, your case is not strong.
It's pretty weak.
If you delay giving your discovery, your case is weak, and that's a
good
red
point.
flag.
Excellent.
And we're Jason and I've got the case right now. We might have 1/10 of the discovery.
Yeah.
That's a red flag to me, because why are they not willing to turn the rest of it over?
Well, they either haven't completed it, or they're dragging their ass to say, okay, we'll just give it to them in pieces. And that's wrong.
And in my experience, and probably with y'all's as well, the cases I have gotten, law enforcement has done one of two things. One, they've done really, really, really great. And you say, man, they
Give you everything.
They did everything. They dotted all their I's, crossed all their T's. On the other cases, it's been, they done really, 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 really bad. I haven't got any in the middle of the road. I've got either really good cases or really bad. And the really bad ones are just like, oh my God, I can't believe, and the good ones are really good, but it's odd.
Well, and that's our job, to go
Yes.
through that and pick out those issues that are going to be good for the defense.
And tell
issues.
that defense lawyer, you need to hit on this.
Right.
This is circled in red because,
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do, is give them talking points or give them references in the discovery page number 2006, line number 12, where the defendant was interviewed without being provided Miranda, or the interview was he was pressured into giving a verbal statement or whatever it may be. Now everything, Tim, is pretty much on video with the body-worn
Yes.
cameras and in-car cameras. And so it's pretty much like watching a movie. And
that takes a lot of time.
it takes a great amount of time, and it's
you have
it's
to
boring.
repeat. You got to watch it and watch it again.
That's right.
Watch
What
it
I
again.
try to do is I'll stop or freeze frame it a lot of times to look at the surroundings, look what other officers are there, where's their body-worn camera, what did they say, what did they say?
Bystanders.
Right. Were there any other witnesses they didn't investigate that could have been investigated? The background, where it was it in the was it in town? Was it in the country? Was it at the individual's house? There's all kind of things you can see that ordinarily you might just go through and not even pay any attention to it. But there's pretty much a video of everything anymore.
Yes.
And you got to look at it. But it takes days, not hours. It takes days and weeks to put all that together, and then you have to put all the notes from everything you see, and it just takes a little bit of time. Luckily, technology has changed the way private investigators work, or it has for us. We have all the databases at our disposal that a lot of investigators didn't have back in the day. You had to go to the clerk's office or the jail or to the wherever, register these to pull information. Now it's pretty much at your fingertips, and it costs money, but that's kind of rolled into the fee for the client. Equipment, that's the big change in the investigative industry, I think. Just for example, the GPS and the technology, but as far as vehicles, things that you can have to where you can find vehicles easily. Some of the databases I use give access to the toll booths. The times vehicle passed through different tolls, and that helps quite a bit. Where all that information wasn't there before. Social media. Oh God Almighty, that's the best thing since beginning of time for an investigator, because you can find a lot on the individual's Facebook, their Twitter feeds, their Snapchat. This case I'm working right now is a felony death case, but Snapchat was the means that they all communicated, and I'm not a Snapchat connoisseur, so I didn't know really how it worked.
It's not permanent either. It's
yeah,
temporary.
Automatic delete it.
And that's the drug dealer's choice, and I can see why. But every case you work, you learn something different. A lot of times you learn, well, I won't do that the next time, or I will follow up again like I did this time. So it's just trends, but the industry changes all the time. It gets boring, the surveillance, especially when you're doing long-term surveillance and you're out by yourself. And we've all done it, 12-hour stretches where you're sitting in a car and you're watching somebody. Nothing, they don't even crack a damn window, and you're just you're there, and you've got human needs that you got to take care of. You've got to do all those things, plus you got the heating and air conditioning and all the other stuff. Your lights in the car at night. It's just you got to learn to adapt to all those things, and it's exciting sometimes.
Well, and I'll elaborate on that. Starting with your car, and we all have different options for cars. You want to have a car that doesn't stick out. Use a basic color. You don't want a sports car. It can be an SUV, it can be a car, whatever, but you want it to be a color that could
blend in. Yeah.
Blend. It could be either gray or black or blue because they all look the same, or it could be confused as a Toyota or Camry or even a Ford or Chevrolet. Whatever. Different kinds of cars. You want to have food available and water. Like I always pack a lunch thing with snacks, beef jerky, water, whatever, crackers,
fruit,
meds.
I always, and in case I have to go overnight, I keep a overnight thing in my car of all, my indigestion medicine, anything I gotta have, allergy medicine. I got a pee jug.
Oh, of course.
I've got toiletries, toothbrush, all that stuff, toothpaste, soap, in case I have to go somewhere, overnight. That wasn't planned. Cash.
But that happens quite a bit.
Yeah. And I've learned also that, you make the most of the situation wherever you're at. You got to have a story too, because if you go into a neighborhood or a place where you're going to stick out, you got to be able to tell why you're there.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. Because that happens quite a bit. What are you looking for? What are you doing? And a lot of times I'll have a blank or a fake civil summons or a subpoena in my car, and I'll say, well, I'm looking for such and such. Are you familiar with them? Just because you're busted. And a lot of times they say, oh, no, he doesn't live here. I don't know him or whatever. And then you can move on. But you got to have a story.
I had one this past week. They come up to me, are you looking for somebody? And I said, no, I'm looking to buy property in the neighborhood. I said, I'm looking at this house right here because it's for sale. I like to buy them and flip them or rent them. I'm just monitoring the neighborhood because I'm from out of town to see.
Kind of a precursor while you're there. Yeah.
And I don't know, they seem to have bought into it. So, oh, yeah, it's nice, but this part over here is pretty bad, or this part's good, or that, or whatever.
Yeah, but once you're burned, and you're pretty much off. You have to turn it over to somebody else, or do the best you can.
And that happens.
It does happen, and
no matter how good you are.
Right. And the key to that is networking, where you can have another investigative firm or a partner, somebody that you can call an associate and say, hey, you got to cover for me, and just be on the lowdown because he's on the lookout or she's on the lookout for whatever reason.
With that being said, that case you got with the insurance company, they only use you 2 or 3 days, and they hire another firm 2 or 3 days. And
that way you're not the same person
mix
going
it up.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a good
and
idea.
then if all 3 firms say the same thing, you're
And you're doing some of the piracy for the fights and the golf tournaments and
and that's
paid review, I guess.
You're going in different establishments that have different clientele,
right?
So you got to either look in between or look the part. So you do your homework on where you're going to try, and kind of if you're going to a sports bar, you got to know whatever the event is. You got to do your homework on the event to be able to talk about it. But the key to that is getting in and getting out. Don't waste any time. Either it's there and they got it, get what you need, or if they don't have it, go to the next one.
So what you're saying is Tim should go to the strip clubs and I should go to the church clubs. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
shit.
But that industry's huge because the people buy the service for their home, which is a cheaper rate, take it to their business, which is a much higher rate, and show the golf tournament or the fight or whatever it may be.
And they levy a large fine.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
They said it's massive.
And we get paid rather well for each one we get. The problem is you might get 1 out of 20. So you got to maximize your time.
Right.
And I did it kind of like when I would serve papers. When I would get a lot of paper, I would have a plan. I'm going to do this, and
A route.
Yeah, a route, ready made. And I did, and I don't waste any. If they don't have it, go on to the next one. Boom. All right, it's the next one is 10 miles away or 2 blocks away. Maximize your time. And the ones I have gotten, I'm only in there 15, 20 minutes to get what I need and then get out.
Right. And that's a little different in doing your day-to-day surveillance. It's a little challenging because you have to gather a lot of evidence, as you do with the workers' comp cases as well. It's a little it's tougher.
Yeah.
So, and one thing that I enjoy doing is the expert witness testimony, to be able to take a case and look at it for the defense or the plaintiff or the defendant, whichever side decides to hire me, to look at whether protocols were followed or if they did it according to policy and procedure, or if it was just off track altogether. And those are time consuming.
Oh yeah.
They pay well, but it's a lot of work. Tim and both of you guys have done a lot of executive security. The rules here in North Carolina have changed a little bit with that, and we're trying to adapt to all that as we're supposed to. But that's a opportunity for investigators, and it's a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of standing and watching and doing absolutely nothing, and then it goes from 0 to 100 really quick sometimes. But I think if you can get a good clientele, that's a moneymaker.
Yes.
I do believe that.
You have to take care of yourself on these surveillance operations and EP operations. Surveillance, you might be sitting in the car, and if you sit all day, you're going to be pain. You're going to have a lot of pain. You're going to be sore. So you got to figure out a way to get out of the car and move around a little bit. And with the executive protection, you might be standing all day. So you got to move around a little. If you just sit still, you got to figure out how to move a little bit, or you're going to pay for it that evening, or you got to. It's not good for you to do that.
One of my buddies, he carries a dog leash in his car, and if he's doing surveillance in a
Lost
neighborhood,
dog.
he's I'm looking everywhere for my little dog.
Got out of the
hell, that next thing you know, the whole neighborhood's looking for a dog. But you got to get out and move your legs and move around a little bit. Talk just a minute about your. Do you do much pre-employment screening or background checks? Are you doing any of those?
I do backgrounds, but not for employment purposes. I do them for clients on these domestic or custody cases, or just by request for. And I do quite a few. I do them regularly.
It's a good tool to have for your pre-job.
Right, and luckily I got a couple long-term clients that I do their backgrounds for their new employees coming in. I can do mine level 1 through level 5. Level 1 being a criminal check, basic. Level 5 being all the way to the point where you're going and knocking on neighbors' doors, finding out about, employee Jonathan, whoever, to find out a little bit about their background, more so than just a basic cursory check. So, and you get all in between sometimes. Some of the bigger companies want you to do more, and some of them just won't. Okay, just let me know if they got a criminal history or whatever.
I have got a new client, and this is the first week of it. I haven't even started it yet, where they're sending me a set list of people and addresses where the property has been foreclosed on, and I've got to find out who the owner or who's in charge of the property. And my client is looking to buy these properties, so I got to find out, hey, are you willing to sell? That I got a client that's going to pay cash, and then basically finding out what's going on with the property.
The down and dirty.
Yeah.
We did that through the HUD, Housing and Urban Development, one of the years ago, and those are interesting because it's foreclosures. You're going in, you're actually working for the bank for the most part, and you're going in, and we were doing that, and we'd have to photograph, and people really didn't want you around, so that was extremely challenging, but it paid well. It took a little time though. Anyhow. It's North Carolina has strict rules with you have to be a licensed private investigator, of course, and most of our surrounding states are that way. We can go out of state to work if the case originates here in North Carolina. We can go out of state for 10 days and work on the case. Now, we can't take a case from South Carolina and initiate it, but we can work with other out-of-state investigators to finish our case up. But most of them, a lot of our cases take us out of state sometimes to as far as surveillance goes. But and I'm glad North Carolina has a strict kind of a governing board. They have pretty much what you can do and what you can't do. And if we didn't, then I think you'd have these fly-by-nighters and people. Now in North Carolina, you can work for one attorney and not be licensed as an investigator, which a lot of people don't know that. But it's that's something that's a lot of states don't honor as well. So anyhow, this has been a kind of a shoot from the hip episode.
This is our third attempt today.
Well-
We've changed 3 times before we
We
even-
have.
Well, and that's here's the bad part of the job, and there's not a lot of bad. The job part is great. The job, the hardest part for me is the business end of it. One, just keeping the day-to-day operation, like we had the printer issue and the internet issues,
Well, yeah.
and just and that would be normal for any business. Now I'm not,
Yeah.
That's not unique to private investigate. It's just the small business aspect. The plus of that is if we went and worked for another PI company, we'd make a lot less money.
Mhm.
We make more money, but we have to do the business end of it than we would if we worked for somebody. And that's the only negative. I like the job. The job's great.
And it's the good thing is to have a good CPA or get a bookkeeper that can keep up with all that stuff. But our problem is we got so many. I don't know. It's a lot of fingers in the pie sometimes, and we're trying to do a lot of things. And you were talking today about okay, I got this case going on. I really don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do this, and it's tough. It is,
And you have to do that because there's going to be times when you don't have anything
Right.
coming in. So you got to make the best of it when you're
yeah, you
you're
got to make
covered up.
You get it when you get
You
it.
got to
Yeah.
make hay in the sunshine. So, and that's what we're trying to do. Caseload's good right now. It's it's up and down, but right now all of us got a lot of work going on, and we're just trying to keep up and make the best of it. What we got for last call today?
Jim Beam Black, extra age.
Frankfort, Kentucky.
It's got to be good, right?
Jimmy Beam.
Well, we're gonna go off for just a little bit. We'll check that and have a drink, and we got some good episodes coming up. We talked about the autism. We're working on that. That's something it's going to take some time to put together. I want to bring in a guest for that we can talk and kind of hear what's going on in that with that field and hopefully learn something from it. But anyhow, it's been fun today. I enjoyed it. I hope you've all enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. But we'll be back here in just a few minutes for last call, Monday afternoon roundtable. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Monday afternoon roundtable. Last call, gang. Last call. Jim Beam, Black Extra Age Bourbon.
It's extra age like the rest of us.
I know, really. Have you had it?
Nope, can't say as I have.
Tim's had it, and he says it's pretty good. I don't know that I've had it either, Jason.
I've not had black label. I've had the white label, but not.
Jason, you had it? The other Jason?
I haven't had it.
We got another Jason.
We got a special guest with us, Jason Bradshaw. It's going to hopefully we're going to talk to him a little bit today about his expertise in the fire service and investigative services, and kind of maybe look at him coming on board with us. But he's here, so we're going to let him come in for last call and give his taste of this Jim Beam Black Extra Age Bourbon. What did Tim call it? Jimmy Beam?
Jimmy Beam.
Jimmy Beam. I'll let you pour, if you don't mind.
What's the background on it?
Well, it's let me get it right here. Jason's got it for me. It's a premium 86 proof bourbon whiskey. Spends years longer being aged in their American white oak barrels. Gives Jim Beam its the extra year agings give Jim Beam Black its full bodied flavor with notes of smooth caramel and warm oak.
All right.
So
Warm
I'm sure
oak.
you're going to
Delicious.
smell and taste both of those flavors. And it's just common with a good bourbon or a good whiskey. There you go. Thank you. The last call segment, for you viewers that don't know, this is something we do at the end of every show. We pick a different bourbon or a whiskey and we talk about it. We drink it, kind of score it, what we think about it, if it's good or bad or indifferent. And I don't think we've had a bad one yet.
No,
Jason,
the
we
ones we
haven't.
thought were bad turned out
Yeah.
good, and yeah, we've had a
And
good run so far.
We invited Jason up to have the last call with us, and Tim said, "Well, he's a Baptist minister." And I said, "Oh my!" Anyhow, but that wasn't true.
Yeah.
So anyhow, cheers to everyone. Let's try this.
Cheers.
And see what
Let's
we
try
think
it out.
about it.
Cheers.
It's got to be good. Oh yeah,
It's good.
I can taste salt.
Did you taste that?
All
white
those
oak?
flavors. Yep. Got a tad of a.
Did you get the oak barrel taste?
I got it.
I think I got all of it.
86 proof. Is that what it was? Yeah. So it's
pretty
you
good.
You can tell that.
A
but
little kick, but it's good.
I like a kick.
The bite's on the back end.
Yeah. Does have a good. It's pretty stiff bite.
And we were laughing the other week because we really haven't had a low score
No,
on anything we've tried.
Like
And
I
this
said.
is our 26th episode, so we've tried a lot of different ones.
Somebody send us some bad liquor so
yeah,
we can
send we want to rate 101.
Somebody wants to do some homemade stuff that we're going to talk about that you may bring
Yes,
next time.
I've got
That'll
some
be
coming.
fun.
Supposed to be coming next week. Some
Good.
homemade blueberry.
Good local
moonshine.
stuff, and
Yeah.
we'll test it, see how it
Yeah.
goes. So anyhow,
Yeah,
This was our dad's favorite drink. That was his drink of choice, was Jim Beam.
it's pretty good.
yeah, I like it. It's good on the rocks.
Yeah. What do you think, Jason? Number 2. Okay, he
good.
likes it.
All right.
Oh.
Tim, what score would you give it? 1 to 10.
Hey,
Jason,
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 8.
Mark,
I'm 8.5.
Jason,
I'll give it an 8.
good strong 8. I'll give it an 8.5. So we got a good
got a good strong score on it.
So highly recommend it.
Not bad.
No. And what's the price on it, Tim? Jim Beam Black. Aged bourbon. $40? Not that much?
it's under 40.
Oh, is it? Yeah. It's the world's highest rated bourbon, it says.
Yeah, it's not our highest rating. I don't
Well,
remember what
yeah.
it was, but it's right up there with it.
It's pretty high for the price, though. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
good rating for the
Yeah,
price
some of that
range. It's
stuff
very
we bought
good.
Was in a
Yeah.
lot higher price range. Yeah.
That print's too small for me to read, but it's
What are you reading?
the wine and spirit competition. It won
The
quality
International
award.
Wine and Spirit Competition that won the quality award.
Okay,
in
so
2016.
The world's highest rated bourbon,
Yeah.
according to that. So
Yeah, and it's not in a paint can.
that wasn't bad
Paint
either.
thinner can.
It wasn't bad that we had. So
No.
highly recommend it. So
Yep.
join us next week. Thanks
Share and
again.
like.
Like and share.
Monday
All the
afternoon
above.
roundtable.
Thank
See-
you.
Bye.